In this video, we're going to be talking about why discipline without God will always fail. This thing right here, this book, this will guide you into the ultimate man that you want to be. And I'm going to be telling you why when you apply discipline and faith together, you get something greater than what just discipline will give you. I have notes. Normally I don't take notes during my videos, but I wanted to structure this in a way where I actually present you information that you can take away and you can use. Without further ado, let's get straight into it, bro. Straight into it. I mean, why you should even listen to me? I'm an online fitness coach. You can tell the physique, solid. And I rebuilt my physique coming back from an ACL injury a couple years ago. I was a skinny little kid, 55 pounds. Weak, soft mentality, shitty habits, until the man you see today. 185 pounds, lean, and good habits. And I continue to grow with God. In the past, I didn't really have God. Now, discipline really did fail me in a sense without God. Right? There was a time where I used to think discipline was everything. Early wake-ups, the gym, the grind, the business, the girl. I used to think the discipline brought me the worldly things that I truly desired. I was like, I'm being disciplined, so I'm going to get me some money, so I'm going to build the business, so I'm going to build my body, so I'm going to get the girl, so I'm going to do this and X, Y, and Z to fulfill myself. Something always collapsed. I always fell back into bad habits. I always was a person who didn't build that foundation up until a year ago, when I made one of the biggest investments of my life and I really hit rock bottom to a certain point. There's been multiple points in my life where I hit rock bottom, but last year was definitely one of them. I was in real estate. I had my license. I was hustling, disciplined, up early, trying to turn my life into something that I was truly satisfied with. I believe every man should go down that path, but I didn't have God. I didn't pray. I didn't make any decisions with God. It was just me, myself, and I, along with my shitty habits. It's all on me. That's how culture was presented. That's how rap music presented it. That's how I grew up with it. My parents never prayed. I knew that this was on me. Until I ran into a specific individual that did start praying, a business, that same mentorship that I invested. Those gentlemen were very religious gentlemen. They were very prominent about their faith. And it honestly sparked something in me to go find more. We would pray on calls, pray on videos, talk about biblical masculinity in a business stance to implement this book in business as well. That's new to me, but it felt good. Started going to church. I started doing the good habits. Stopped smoking a bunch of weed. I was a daily stoner for about 7 years. Started pursuing God along with my discipline. And I was finally able to replace the bad habits with the good habits, because bad habits stem from bad ones and good ones stem from good ones. If you've read Atomic Habits, I read it way back. I listened to the audiobook, and it talks about this. It talks about replacing the habits. Bro, I read so many self-development books. I've done it all. So very few talk about implementing this book, the Bible, into your life. Because it's all about you, yourself, and I, and improving yourself. I realized discipline without God is completely empty. I couldn't do it on my own. I had to humble myself to find God. That's a big, big mindset shift. I want to show you the system of how I stay locked in nowadays. It's called the Forge Method, Forge. I'll do that in a second. There is systems that you need to apply into your life. You cannot rely on motivation. It is structure over motivation. You cannot rely on just motivation to get you through it. You need systems, but you need God applied in your system, in your daily habits, in the things that you think about on a daily basis. Right? You can make a bunch of money. You can get muscles. You can get the girls. You can do everything without God, but it becomes empty. Right? I'm still new in this walk, but I guarantee you, I wouldn't be anywhere where I am. The faith that I have, the habits that I have, the stuff I've been able to build over the last year, the habits I've been able to drop, if it wasn't for Jesus Christ, if it wasn't for God, if it wasn't for bringing him as a pillar. I told you already, I was chasing pleasure, bro. This is kind of the backstory. I was chasing pleasure. I was chasing the girls. I was chasing the bread. I was chasing the porn, the weed, the drinking, the friends, everything, just to feel good. It wasn't that I was a bit undisciplined, sure, but there was parts of my life where I was super dialed. There was parts of my life where I went on long periods of disciplined periods, but then I'd fall off. And I would constantly just run into the same wall again and again, and I couldn't figure it out. That wall of the resistance that you meet when you try to drop a habit, that resistance that you meet when you try to wake up early and on time, that resistance that you meet when you try to complete your morning order, when you try to do something over and over again, but you keep failing. I'm not saying failure is bad, but you need a foundation to fall down on. Do you fall to your knees and pray, or do you fall into that habit loop? Do you fall into the word, or do you fall into something else that doesn't produce the results that you know you could have, you should have, you need to have? You're capable of having it. Again, it was just bad habits that stacked on each other again and again throughout my childhood, throughout high school, a bit after high school, up until last year. And now I really took a hard right turn on these. I didn't have any standards, bro. That was the truth. I didn't have any real code to live by, real standards to live by. This was the problem. I didn't have a real foundation. Until I finally surrendered it, bro. I finally surrendered it. I finally started saying I can't do this alone, and I needed help. I needed help. And the only help that you really will receive is from the Lord Jesus Christ, that will actually give you that foundation to fall back on. Nobody else can give you what he can, what God can. Nobody. You could try to find this somewhere else. You can buy all the mentors you want, but if they don't have God in their life, if they aren't telling you about this, if they're not bringing at least a pillar of God into your life, and they're just saying, go do this, go do that, you'll get results. But to what ends? To what means? Where is the fulfillment? That was the case for me. That was the case for me, bro. So the truth. What's the point of gaining the world just to lose your spirit? What's the point of making all the money or getting all the muscles or doing all the things if you have to trade in your soul? To me, that's not a life worth living. I'd rather keep my soul. Right? I would rather keep this intact versus have an insane, ripped, aesthetic physique, the insane lifestyle, everything my flesh desires. Because that's the battle between flesh and spirit. Discipline without God is just ego, bro. It's just fallout. Right? It's me, myself, and I. You're not building for any higher purpose. You don't care about, maybe it's your family that needs you. Maybe it's your friends. Maybe it's somebody else. And God tells you to care about others. He takes the eyes off yourself and he says, look at me, son. Look at me. I'm not saying you can't improve your life, right? God gives you the direction. He actually tells you with conviction to be disciplined. He tells you to keep your eyes on him. That's what I'm saying. He tells you how to live your life, but it's a high standard. He says gluttony is a sin. He says you need to be in shape. He says you need to consistently push yourself. This is the disciplined man. You think Jesus was this comfortable guy who lived in comfort and docile, bro? No. He was a man who constantly sought out discomfort, who brought the word of God all the way to the lands, so much so to the extent where they took his life. And to the final breath, he was still doing just that. Lord, Father, forgive them, for they do not know. FORGE, the Forge method. I'm going to explain it real quick. Fitness is your foundation. Order your morning. Relentlessly execute on your goals. God over everything. Evolve and evaluate. Fitness is your foundation. This is the vehicle. This is the entirety, right? You need to be able to keep it in shape. You need to order your morning. That's the spark plugs of the vehicle that start it. When you start the key to your car, if your spark plugs are shot, if they don't work, you won't get off the ground. Same thing with ordering your morning. You need to order your morning. That's the spark. Relentlessly execute on your goals. When you drop that gear into drive, now you're pursuing your goals. God over everything. That's the wheels of the car that keep it nice and balanced. And then evolve and evaluate. Did I drive this car to the best of my ability? That's the Forge method that I created. You can absolutely implement this in your life right now, today, tonight, and implement these pillars and watch your life upgrade. Watch it upgrade. I want to give a side note, Andy Frisella's Power List, the 5 critical tasks, 3 to 5 critical tasks that he does every single day to push him forward. That's also another system that you can implement alongside of the Power List, which goes along with relentlessly executing on your goals. What are your goals? What tasks do you need to do to elevate yourself on a daily basis? For me, this video is one of those tasks. Most say they want the discipline, but they're avoiding God. They want the results with zero foundation, yet they need alignment. They need the foundation. They need God in order to sustain the discipline that is required in order to get the results that they want. Because if you do it out of ego, you do it just for yourself, what is the higher purpose? You need more. You need something that pushes you, that drives you, because this is a spiritual war between good and evil. And I'm telling you, bro, if you are losing it on a daily basis, you will lose yourself. You will lose your anchor. You will lose your foundation. And that is not okay for you, for your family, for your team, for your business. You need standards. You need a foundation. You need a code. You need something to stand by every single day that raises you higher. So many men, even in church, right? They're not the most disciplined men. I see men in church that are unhealthy, unfit. They are fat, right? And it's obnoxious to be able to preach the gospel, yet be gluttonous yourself, right? Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? You can have God, yet no discipline, and you can have discipline, yet no God. The idea is that middle ground, that sweet spot that gives you the foundation and you build on top of it. You build your spirit, you build your body, you build your mind. You know you're capable of more, but you're inconsistent, you're distracted, you're out of alignment. You know you're capable of more. You know you need to apply this system. You know you need to bring God into your life and live by the standards that are set for yourself, for your family, your loved ones. This is important. If you are ready to level up, implementing the Forge method, and you are a man who wants serious help in order to elevate themselves, to become the man they look in the mirror and they're proud of. They're no longer just mediocre. They're no longer feeling a bit less than what they're capable of. You want to push yourself and get right in the spirit, in the body, in the mind. Click the link down below. We'll see if you qualify for the Forge program. I built a whole program around this. That's what my one-on-one coaching is around. I built this for men like you. I appreciate you for tuning in, gentlemen. I'll see you on the next video. Stay dangerous. Bye for now.